a luxury Miami high-rise, a frantic 911 call, and a young man bleeding from a stab wound. In the background, a sobbing voice pleads, "Baby, I'm so sorry," while another voice gasps, "I'm gonna die. I can't feel my arm." This is not a movie scene. It's the real-life aftermath of a fatal encounter between social media model Courtney Clenney and her boyfriend Christian Obumseli. What led a glamorous Instagram star and her loving partner to such a deadly point? Tonight on No Glory True Stories, we delve into the dramatic true crime tale of Courtney Clenney, a story of love turned lethal with twists of luxury, obsession, and violence.
Who stabbed Christian case. This is, we know what happened. We know part of what happened.
I will feel so much better once they just say he's stable.
Yeah.
And I've been asking.
And that's what we're waiting for. Okay.
I mean, I feel like at the end, if he's not, that's a lot worse for me. But if he's not, that's just a lot worse for everyone. I'm alone in like a room by myself after this. I just like, no, that's not true. That's not real, right?
It is real.
Christian is dead.
Yes. They're not gonna lie.
I know, I just can't believe it.
Courtney Clenney appeared to live a charmed life. At 26 years old in 2022, she was better known to her 2 million Instagram followers as Courtney Taylor, a blonde fitness model and influencer. She had built a lucrative career on social media and the adult site OnlyFans, reportedly earning over $3 million from the platform in just 2 years. With her popularity and income, Courtney basked in a lifestyle of fancy apartments, fast cars, and bikini photo shoots beneath the Miami sun. But behind the filtered photos and sponsored posts was a young woman with real-life struggles. Originally from Texas, Courtney had moved to Los Angeles and then to Miami to pursue modeling and content creation. By late 2020, she began a relationship that would come to define and ultimately destroy this glamorous image. Her boyfriend was Christian Obumseli, a 27-year-old cryptocurrency entrepreneur. Christian was a Texas native, born in Dallas and educated at Abilene Christian University and Texas Tech. Friends described him as optimistic, smart, and loving. In social media posts, the couple often looked happy, Courtney flashing her bright smile next to Christian's broad grin, living a perfect Miami life. But those closest to them knew that all was not well behind closed doors. Miami-Dade State Attorney Catherine Fernandez-Rundle would later say that what lay beneath the surface was a tempestuous and combative relationship that had begun when Courtney and Christian started dating in November 2020. In fact, before Miami, the couple lived together in Austin, Texas, and there were early signs of trouble. According to a former neighbor in Austin, fights between Courtney and Christian were frequent, to the point that objects would literally fly out of their penthouse apartment. In one incident, a large painting was thrown onto the neighbor's balcony during a heated argument. Police were called multiple times during their time in Austin. Despite these warning signs, the couple stayed together, seeking a fresh start, and perhaps drawn by Miami's influencer scene, Courtney and Christian relocated to Miami in January 2022. They moved into Unit 2201 at the luxurious One Paraíso condominium in Miami's upscale Edgewater neighborhood, a glittering high-rise with bay views, a place that promised paradise, but paradise would soon turn into a nightmare. The One Paraíso condo was meant to be a new chapter for the couple. For a while, social media still showed their glamorous life, dinners out, poolside selfies, and lavish surroundings. Yet, inside their 22nd floor apartment, the fighting only escalated. Building staff and security soon got to know apartment 2201 for all the wrong reasons. Loud arguments and disturbances were reported so often that even neighbors 2 floors above could hear the chaos. By early 2022, just weeks into their Miami move, tenants were complaining regularly about yelling and thuds coming from Courtney and Christian's unit. The condo management grew so concerned that they planned to evict the couple due to the continual disturbances. On February 21st, 2022, an elevator security camera captured a disturbing piece of the story. In the footage later released by prosecutors, Courtney can be seen assaulting Christian in the building's elevator, hitting and slapping him as he tries to shield himself. Christian appears to push her away to defend himself, but does not strike her. This violent outburst on camera was a red flag that their relationship was dangerously volatile. It wouldn't be the last. As spring approached, the situation reached a boiling point. The Miami police became familiar with the couple. On April 1st, 2022, just 2 days before the tragedy, officers responded to yet another domestic disturbance calls at One Paraíso. That day, in police body cam footage from the lobby, an emotional Courtney Clenney is seen trembling and asking officers for a restraining order. With tears in her eyes, she tells them she had broken up with Christian a week earlier and that he kept coming back to her apartment against her wishes. "He's stalking me," Courtney says on the video. "I want a restraining order against Christian Obumseli. I'm scared of him at this point."
We asked her, I said, "Do you want him to leave the property?" She said no, she don't want him to.
I did not say that. I said
okay,
yes.
hold on.
No, but
Hold on, he's talking, then you talk.
Unpack building employees called Miami police in regards to a domestic disturbance between OnlyFans model Courtney Clenney and her boyfriend Christian Obumseli, 2 days before investigators say she stabbed him to death. Clenney is in the lobby. The employee is the one who actually called police and tells them.
Her boyfriend comes charging towards her, and we actually try to get in the middle of it.
Clenney is visibly upset. She's on the phone with her dad while telling police Obumseli is stalking her.
Right now, like, I have not always been the victim, but like right now I'm the freaking victim in the situation. I'm scared to go downstairs and walk my dog.
Then says,
I want a restraining order against Christian Obumseli.
Officers checked Clenney's apartment and Obumseli wasn't there. They let Clenney know that if he's been living in her apartment and has belongings there, they cannot kick him out. Also informing her that she's not being clear on what she wants.
You want this person to completely disappear from your life. At the same time, you have him in your apartment here for 2 months with a ton of stuff in here.
But no, I know.
Clenney goes back to her apartment. Officers then go to the employee who made the original call, telling him she never disclosed that there was violence that particular night.
When she came down, he went charging at her.
That's fine.
That's my whole thing.
Right, but she didn't mention none of that until she says she wants to do something about it, that's where we step in, where it's a criminal activity, but she needs to mention something about that.
Okay.
Unfortunately, we can't do anything.
In that same body cam clip, a building security guard corroborates part of Courtney's story. He reports that he saw Christian charging toward her during a prior argument. To the officers on April 1st, it seemed Courtney truly feared her boyfriend. They directed her on how to file a restraining order and noted her claims. Christian was not present by the time police arrived and no arrests were made that night. The officers left unaware that this turbulent relationship was about to explode into violence far more devastating than a loud argument in the lobby. The stage was set. 2 days later, the cycle of conflict would culminate in a deadly confrontation that shocked everyone and left one of them dead.
He literally told me about it, and I was like, damn.
What are you
You are such...
I didn't go to talk to Aro. I was going on a bike ride. Like, what the?
Get off of me!
Me going to talk to Aro? Is this gonna make you act like this?
You literally talked to her without telling me!
Courtney, I was on a bike ride, and she passed me, and I said, hi, you and Courtney are having a live chat. My bad, I forgot to tell you that. That doesn't make you to act and call me a
You're
Yes! Yes, thank you. Coming from Courtney, thank you.
I want you to get away from me! Get away from me!
Sunday, April 3rd, 2022, it's a quiet afternoon in the One Paraíso building until suddenly it isn't. Sometime before 5 p.m., another explosive argument erupts in apartment 2201. Neighbors later reported thuds and screams. At 4:45 p.m., concerned residents called the building's front desk to report a disturbance, prompting the building manager to alert the authorities. About 11 minutes later, at 4:57 p.m., Courtney Clenney herself dials 911. The call that follows is harrowing. On the recorded line, Courtney is hysterical, crying uncontrollably and begging for help. In the background, Christian's voice can be heard, weak and in agony. Neighbors who overhear the commotion can only listen in dread. One later described hearing Courtney's desperate wails and Christian's voice saying he was dying, a chilling tableau of a domestic dispute turned lethal. Police and paramedics race to the scene. When Miami PD officers arrive at Unit 2201, they find a blood-soaked scene. Christian Obumseli lies on the floor, unresponsive and gravely wounded, bleeding from a single stab wound to the upper chest. Courtney Clenney, covered head to toe in blood, is cradling his body and weeping. Two small dogs skitter around the apartment, tracking red paw prints on the tile. One officer's body cam captures the grisly image of Courtney, her once pristine white sports bra and yoga pants now stained with splashes of crimson. "I'm covered in my boyfriend's blood," she cries out to the police in a trembling voice. As officers secure the scene, they cuff a distraught Courtney for safety and lead her out to the balcony. On camera, she appears to be in shock, alternating between sobbing about Christian's condition and talking almost incoherently to her dogs. In one surreal moment caught on the body cam, Courtney, her face smeared with blood, tries to comfort one of her dogs and murmurs, "Daddy's gonna be back soon. Daddy will be back soon. I promise," referring to Christian. An officer, noting the severity of the situation, mutters into his radio, "We have a non-responsive male and the apartment is full of blood." Paramedics work feverishly over Christian, who has a knife wound in his right chest shoulder area. They observe that it's a deep wound about 3 inches deep and bleeding heavily. The knife struck a vital artery, later identified as the subclavian artery near the clavicle, causing massive internal bleeding. As EMTs attempt CPR and try to stanch the bleeding, Courtney, still handcuffed, screams from the balcony, "Guys, please tell me what's going on. Please tell me he's okay." Officers gently but firmly keep her back. At one point, Courtney tries to dart toward Christian, but police hold her, telling her to stay seated. "I was really scared. I'm covered in blood from holding him," she stammers to an officer. "I was trying to save him." Christian Obumseli is alive when he's rushed out to the ambulance. Barely. He's quickly transported to Jackson Memorial Hospital, but tragically, despite doctors' efforts, Christian succumbs to his wound and is pronounced dead at the hospital later that evening. The promising young man who was just days away from his 28th birthday has lost his life, and the focus now turns to his girlfriend, Courtney, who is soaked in his blood and at the center of a developing homicide investigation. In the immediate aftermath of the stabbing, as detectives begin their investigation, Courtney Clenney offers an explanation through broken sobs. She does not deny stabbing Christian, but she insists it was self-defense. According to the police arrest report later filed, Courtney stated that Christian had attacked her in the moments before the stabbing. She claims an argument spiraled into a physical fight. Christian allegedly shoved her against a wall by the neck, then threw her to the ground. Courtney says she managed to break free, ran to the kitchen, and grabbed a knife. When Christian then approached her again, she says she threw the knife at him from about 10 feet away, rather than stabbing him outright. It's a dramatic story, a petite woman defending herself from an enraged larger man. In fact, responding officers on April 3rd noted visible bruises on Courtney's body that night, consistent with a physical struggle. Her defense would later point to these as proof she had been choked or battered. Courtney was so distraught after Christian's death that police had her taken for a psychiatric evaluation under Florida's Baker Act, which allows for temporary involuntary hospitalization of someone deemed a danger to themselves or others. She was literally begging police to just tell me if he's alive, as they escorted her away that night. For a brief moment, it almost appeared to investigators that this could be a case of self-defense gone horribly wrong. Courtney was not immediately charged that night. Within 48 hours of the stabbing, she was released from police custody and flown back to Texas to stay with her family. In those first few days, the public only knew that a domestic dispute had turned fatal and that the girlfriend was cooperating with police and had not been charged. But as homicide detectives dug deeper, doubts quickly arose about Courtney's self-defense claim. The forensic evidence from the crime scene and autopsy did not line up with her story of a knife thrown from across the room. Miami's chief medical examiner would soon conclude that the wound to Christian's chest resulted from a forceful downward thrust of a blade delivered at close range. In other words, the fatal injury was much more consistent with a deliberate stabbing than a knife tossed from afar. Throwing a knife from 10 feet could not have caused such a deep, powerful wound, the examiner said. The trajectory, a downward angle, suggested someone had plunged the knife directly into Christian's chest from above. Moreover, detectives began to hear accounts from friends and neighbors that painted a very different picture of the relationship, one where Courtney was often the aggressor. Within days, cell phone videos and messages surfaced indicating a history of mutual abuse, with significant evidence of Courtney's violence toward Christian. In one profanity-laced recording obtained by police, Courtney can be heard berating Christian over a minor issue, him greeting another woman on a bike ride, calling him names and even shouting, "Shut up and let me slap you, dumb beep," and using a racial slur. According to Detective Yermaine Briseno, who later testified on the case, Christian was always the one trying to calm the situation down. He was always the one getting hurt, and the defendant, Courtney, is the one unable to control herself and hurt him.
I need to leave my phone. I need to go home. I need to talk to them. I need my phone.
Cece,
Don't touch me!
What is going on? Like, what are you gonna get this mad at me when I'm apologizing to you?
No, Christian.
Like, you're thinking I'm doing it on
purpose? Drop your attitude. Drop your high pitch.
Okay, I'm not doing it on purpose.
You told Sahara, you know well, the right thing to do is to tell me.
Yes, and I am so sorry.
So shut up and let me slap you.
I'm not gonna slap you.
Give me my phone.
You have your phone.
I don't have it anymore. Find it and charge it.
What?
Find it and charge it!
I'm sorry, Courtney.
I don't care. Find it and charge it.
Okay, just stop.
Don't talk to me.
Man.
Yeah, man. Oh, man.
Because I'm telling you I'm sorry.
It's my heart. Find my phone and charge it.
I don't know where your phone is.
Find it.
Okay, you help me find it?
I won!
So what?
Find it!
Why are you screaming, man? Not man, but why?
Yeah, man, yeah, man, yeah, man, yeah, man, yeah, man. Yeah, 'cause I'm all man up. Shut the up. I need to find it because I have to go meet her again.
So to go out?
No!
You said she invited you.
Christian, just find my
I don't have your phone. Can you
just find my fucking phone.
Cece, can you just please?
Shut up!
Please.
Shut up! You went to go talk to her without talking.
I didn't go.
Yes, you did. You always want to.
I was on.
He literally told me about it. Now he's like,
what are you
get my son.
I didn't go to talk to Ara. I was going on a bike ride. Like, what the?
Get off of me!
Going to talk to Ara? Is this gonna make you act like this?
These revelations cast serious doubt on Courtney's portrayal of herself as the sole victim. Meanwhile, Christian's family was growing increasingly vocal that justice was not being served. To them, it was unthinkable that Courtney had walked free after deleting Christian. We have no cause to believe that this was a case of self-defense, said Karen Igbuna, Christian's cousin, at a press conference about the stabbing. The family hired an attorney, Larry Hanfield, who pressed authorities to reconsider charges. Hanfield pointed out that Courtney's 911 call sounded less like a battered woman's cry for help than a guilty plea. It shows her state of mind. She's saying she's sorry because she's realizing what she's done. She's not saying I was defending myself, he asserted. the case was gaining traction in the media as well. Courtney Clenney's status as a beautiful Instagram influencer and OnlyFans star made the story go viral. The press dubbed her the OnlyFans model accused of murder, and tabloids splashed her bikini-clad images alongside headlines about the stabbing. On social media, true crime sleuths dug up old videos of the couple's fights, and number justice for Toby started trending. Many observers pointed out a troubling possibility. Would a man in Courtney's position have been allowed to walk free for months if it was the other way around? Critics accused the police of giving Courtney preferential treatment. Perhaps some speculated because of biases. She was a white woman claiming abuse by a black man, raising questions of a double standard. The Miami police, under pressure, stressed that the investigation was ongoing and that they were carefully building a case. For the moment, however, Courtney was thousands of miles away from the scene of the crime. In the weeks after Christian's passing, she laid low in Texas with her parents. At one point, a bystander in Miami spotted Courtney at the lobby bar of the Grand Beach Hotel with her father, a strange sight, seeing the as-yet uncharged suspect enjoying a drink. The bystander confronted her on camera, shouting, "You deleted your boyfriend?" prompting Courtney to abruptly leave the bar as the footage spread online. The public's patience was wearing thin.
Heather, today, Florida authorities detailed more about this violent and toxic relationship. Clenney's attorney says that she acted in self-defense when she killed her boyfriend, but today, Florida investigators say that Clenney was the aggressor.
Despite the mounting evidence, it took time for authorities to officially bring charges. 4 months passed after Christian's death. Unbeknownst to the public, a Miami-Dade County grand jury had been convened to hear the evidence in secret. Prosecutors wanted to ensure they had a solid case before making an arrest, especially since Courtney was no longer in Florida. In the interim, Courtney's attorney, Frank Prito, later said that she had entered a rehabilitation facility in Hawaii to address issues of post-traumatic stress and substance abuse stemming from the incident. Whether this move was for genuine healing or a bid to avoid the spotlight, it meant that by summer 2022, Courtney Clenney was living on the Big Island of Hawaii, about as far from Miami as one could go. In August 2022, the wheels of justice finally caught up with her. A warrant for Courtney's arrest was issued for the charge of second-degree murder with a deadly weapon. On August 10, 2022, U.S. Marshals and Hawaii County Police descended on a residence in Lopahoho, Hawaii, a small town where Courtney was reportedly in rehab, and took her into custody. She was found at an undisclosed location on the island and did not resist. The Hawaii Police Department noted the arrest took place without incident, and Courtney appeared stunned. She was now officially accused of intentionally killing Christian Obumseli.
Evidence gathered during the investigation of Christian's death showed that since November of 2020, he and the defendant, Clenney, had been involved in an extremely tempestuous and combative relationship.
It ended April 3rd with a 911 call.
Christian can be heard in the background repeatedly saying that he was dying and he was losing feeling in his arm. Defendant Clenney is also heard saying, "I'm so sorry, baby."
News of the arrest broke on August 11th, and it made national headlines. At a press conference that day in Miami, State Attorney Catherine Fernandez-Rundle publicly laid out the prosecution's case against Clenney. Standing before a podium, Rundle played the elevator assault video from February for the media, showing Courtney attacking Christian. She described the extremely tempestuous and combative 2-year relationship, outlining a timeline of escalating violence that culminated in Christian's death. She detailed how building staff had been on the verge of evicting the couple due to constant domestic disturbances, how police had been called just 2 days before the stabbing, and how the evidence flatly contradicted Courtney's self-defense story. The autopsy, Rundle said, proved that Christian's fatal wound came from a powerful, intentional stab. The knife entered Christian's chest in a downward angle, not an improbable knife toss. To drive the point home, Rundle revealed that Clenney's own mother had texted her on the day of the killing, telling her to remember to say you acted in self-defense and to lawyer up, implying that even Courtney's mother knew this was more than an accident. That text had been discovered on Courtney's phone, time-stamped within half an hour of the stabbing. Courtney was quickly extradited from Hawaii back to Florida. By late August, she was sitting in a Miami courtroom in an orange jumpsuit for her bond hearing, gone with the glamorous outfits and Instagram filters. Courtney appeared shaken and pale in police custody photos. The judge ultimately agreed with prosecutors that she was a flight risk. After all, she had fled Florida and had access to significant funds, and denied her bond, meaning she would remain behind bars awaiting trial. From that point on, Courtney Clenney traded her luxury high-rise life for a cell in the Turner Guilford Night Correctional Center, where she remains held without bond.
Ms. Clenney, your attorneys are here and they're fighting hard for you. But at this time, I'm not really the judge who should be making these decisions. It should be a judge who knows a little bit more about your case. So we're not going to be making any other ruling other than just telling you that today you are here because you were arrested on a warrant. You are at present charged with second-degree murder, and that you're going to go in front of your judge and have more of an in-depth conversation at that time.
Yes, Your Honor.
For today's purpose, I'm just telling you what the charges are, that there is a no bond at this stage, and that that's going to be another conversation just for another day, okay?
Yes, Your Honor.
Once Courtney was arrested, even more evidence started to emerge, painting a fuller picture of the toxic relationship between her and Christian. Prosecutors released a trove of materials, surveillance videos, photographs from the crime scene, and even Courtney's own private writing. Among the most chilling revelations were entries from Courtney's phone's notes app, effectively her secret diary, which investigators had extracted. These notes span months before the killing, and they show a young woman wrestling with her behavior and temper. In one note from January 2022, Courtney wrote, "I'm just an abusive. I'm turning into an ugly person, and so is he. I don't think that really matters because there was a good reason." In another, earlier note titled Words Hurt, dated August 2021, she admonished herself, "Stop putting your hands on him out of anger. It releases tension, but has long-lasting effects on his self-esteem and is not acceptable in any relationship." These are Courtney's own words, seemingly acknowledging she had been physically abusive toward Christian and that her violence was escalating over time. Perhaps most haunting, a note just one day before the stabbing, on April 2nd, 2022, captured a tender moment. "Gave me a bunch of kisses and said good morning and I love you baby a few times." A brief calm before the fatal storm. Prosecutors also highlighted the infamous elevator surveillance video from February and a previously unknown video from a trip to Aspen where the couple was seen in a heated altercation. It became increasingly clear to outsiders that this was a relationship marred by mutual abuse, though the state contends Christian was the primary victim. According to the prosecution, Clenney was the aggressor and Obumseli was a victim of an abusive and volatile relationship. On the other side, Courtney's defense team maintained that while the relationship was toxic, Christian was the aggressor behind closed doors. They pointed to alleged injuries Courtney sustained, bruises on her throat and limbs, and claimed to have photos documenting those injuries. In interviews, attorney Frank Preto doubled down. Mr. Obumseli was the abuser, the worst kind of abuser, he said. He would manipulate and abuse Courtney in private when he thought nobody was around. Prieto argued that Christian's clean-cut public image hid a darker side and that Courtney feared for her life on April 3rd. As he put it, she was in a struggle for her life. She defended herself with every ounce of energy she had left. The media frenzy around the case only intensified after the arrest. Every new court hearing became headline news on true crime blogs and mainstream outlets alike. In October 2022, audio of the full 911 call was made public, allowing everyone to hear those final moments. Many were struck by the raw emotion and chaos captured on tape. Courtney's screams, the dispatcher's frustration, Christian's fading voice. Was her "I'm so sorry, baby" a confession of guilt or a panicked attempt to comfort him? Public opinion was sharply divided. Some saw Courtney as a calculating killer who used her privilege and looks to evade early arrest, dubbing her an influencer turned murderer. Others wondered if she truly had been a domestic violence victim driven to desperation, citing the fact that domestic abuse victims can sometimes kill their abusers in self-defense. The case spurred wider conversations about domestic violence, gender, and justice. Advocates on both sides spoke up, some pointing out how often women's claims of self-defense are overlooked, others highlighting that male victims of domestic violence, like Christian might have been, are often not believed until it's too late. Meanwhile, in an unexpected twist, Courtney's own parents became entangled in the legal saga. In January 2023, as prosecutors dug through digital evidence, they discovered that after Christian's death, someone had accessed his laptop and possibly removed some of his belongings from the apartment. Investigators came to believe that Courtney had given Christian's laptop to her father and mother in Texas after the stabbing. In fact, evidence showed that Courtney's parents, along with her attorneys, were part of a group chat discussing how to get into Christian's computer soon after she was arrested. One message from Courtney's father excitedly proclaimed, "Hell yeah." That pin worked after successfully accessing the laptop. Another message from an attorney cautioned him to stop digging, saying, "Hold off going through the computer, please. I don't want to turn you into a witness if you find something useful." These revelations led to Courtney's parents, Kim and Deborah Clenney, being arrested in Austin, Texas on charges of tampering with evidence and unlawful computer access. For a moment, it looked like the saga had spawned a whole new criminal case involving her family. However, by mid-2023, those hacking charges were dropped. A judge ruled that some of the state's evidence against the parents had violated attorney-client privilege since the communications involved attorneys. The prosecution decided not to pursue the case further, likely to keep the focus on the murder trial ahead. Still, the damage was done. It appeared to observers that Courtney's camp might have been trying to hide or manipulate evidence, an implication that certainly did not help her in the court of public opinion. As of now, Courtney Clenney has pleaded not guilty to the second-degree murder charge. She awaits trial in Miami, and the legal battle is gearing up to be intense. Both the prosecution and defense have indicated they are ready to present shocking evidence. In pre-trial hearings, some details have already emerged. Prosecutors revealed Courtney's financial moves after the killing, alleging that she attempted to hide her considerable assets by transferring $1.1 million to her father's bank account shortly after Christian's death. They argue this shows consciousness of guilt and intent to flee. Indeed, by the time she was jailed in August 2022, her OnlyFans income had plummeted. No new sexy posts from behind bars, but she still had money to potentially fund an escape. The defense, meanwhile, has fought to shape the narrative of what the jury will see. They sought to suppress certain pieces of evidence, for instance, some explicit material from Courtney's phone, arguing it's prejudicial and not relevant to the murder. Thus far, a judge ruled that evidence cannot be kept secret simply because it's adult content, implying those parts won't be spared if prosecutors think they're relevant. The elevator video and other footage will almost certainly be shown to jurors. Notably, in one pre-trial hearing, the defense dramatically played a video of a professional knife thrower hurling a knife at a target pig carcass in an attempt to prove that a knife thrown from distance could inflict a deep wound. It's an unusual strategy, essentially a reenactment designed to bolster Courtney's original story. The judge has yet to decide what to allow. but it shows the lengths to which each side is preparing to go. Media coverage remains high. Court TV, Oxygen Network, and countless YouTube channels like this one are following every development in the OnlyFans model murder case. Public interest is fueled by the case's contrast, beauty versus brutality, social media fame versus private horror. Christian Obumseli's family has also filed a wrongful death lawsuit against Courtney, seeking to hold her financially accountable for their loss. They have stated this legal action is part of their quest for justice for Christian, whom they describe as a kind, strong man who was raised with morals and would never have harmed Courtney. As for Courtney, in jailhouse phone calls and meetings with her lawyers, she continues to insist she feared for her life that night. Her attorneys point to the body cam footage from April 1st, the one where she asked for help against the stalker, and even suggest that the police failed to protect her by not taking action then. They argue that by the time April 3rd came, Courtney was essentially on her own and did what she thought necessary to survive. The tragic tale of Courtney Clenney and Christian Obumseli is a stark reminder that behind curated Instagram photos can lie unimaginable pain and violence. Two young people who, on the surface, had it all: love, wealth, looks, opportunity, descended into a toxic spiral that neither escaped. One lost his life, the other faces a future behind bars. Their story has captured headlines not because of the social media glitz, but because it lays bare an all too common truth. Domestic violence can lurk anywhere, even in the sunlit world of influencers and million-dollar condos. As we await the trial, the world will hear both sides in full for the first time. A jury will have the unenviable task of sifting through grisly evidence and conflicting narratives to determine what truly happened in that apartment on April 3rd, 2022. Was Christian Obumseli a brutal boyfriend who pushed Courtney to a desperate act? Or was he a victim of a girlfriend with a history of rage who crossed the line from abuse to murder? The court will decide, but public opinion has already rendered its own mixed verdict in the court of social media. In the end, there is no glory in a story like this, only lessons. Christian's death and Courtney's arrest have sparked conversations about how warning signs of domestic abuse are handled by authorities and how society views male victims and female perpetrators. It's a case with no winners. A young man's life is gone, a young woman's life is in ruins, and two families are forever shattered. In a chilling clip of body cam video from that night, as Courtney sits handcuffed and soaked in blood, an officer asks her what happened. "So he throws you against the wall?" the cop queries. "I was scared and trying to get him off me." Courtney responds haltingly. Fear, real or not, was at the heart of this fatal encounter. Whether that fear was justified will be the crux of her upcoming trial. Until then, we are left with the echoes of that frantic 911 call and the image of a shattered influencer crying "I'm sorry" over the lover she deleted. This is the story of Courtney Clenney and Christian Obumseli, a true crime saga of love, obsession, and a deadly tragedy. Stay tuned for updates on the trial as No Glory, True Stories continues to follow this case. Remember, the truth may be painful, but it must be told.